What's the first word that pops into your head when you hear the name Kamala Harris? Liar, 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 liar. What's the first word? What's the first word? What's the first word? What's the first word? What's the first word when you hear Kamala Harris? Liar, 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 liar. What's the first word? What's the first word? What's the first word? What's the first word? What's the first word when you hear Kamala Harris? Liar, 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 liar.
Gas sky high, why you lie about that? And the food sky high, why you lie about that? So I don't really blame them when they eating the cats. You a liar, 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 liar. You don't care about no ladies, why you lie about that? You just want to kill their baby, why you lie about that? Saying reproductive freedom, but you lie about that. You a liar, 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 liar. You and walls about guns, cause you lie about that. Just a copycat, cause you lie about that. No, you wanna be Trump, get a MAGA hat. You a liar, 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 liar.
What's the first word? What's the first word? What's the first word? What's the first word? What's the first word when you hear Kamala Harris? Liar, 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 liar. What's the first word? What's the first word? What's the first word? What's the first word? What's the first word when you hear Kamala Harris? Liar, 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 liar.
You say you in the streets, but you lie about that. Interviews you don't do, cause you lie about that. New place, new accent, cause you lie about that. Come on.
Liar, 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 liar.
Said you don't run the border, but you lie about that. Why the drugs get imported, but you lie about that. Why they trafficking the orphans, but you lie about that. You a
Liar, 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 liar.
Said you give them 25 when they need a pad. Probably not in your mansion, kick your feet up and laugh. You don't care about the poll, you just need to vote. You a
Liar, 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 liar. What's the first word? What's the first word? What's the first word? What's the first word? What's the first word when you hear Kamala Harris? Liar, 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 liar. What's the first word? What's the first word? What's the first word? What's the first word? What's the first word when you hear Kamala Harris? Liar, 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 liar.
liar, liar, pants on fire. Apprentice, Trump said you're fired. Liar, liar, pants on fire. Apprentice, Trump said you're fired.
Liar, 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 liar.
Apprentice, Trump said you're fired.
Liar, 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 liar.
Apprentice, Trump said
Good
you're
morning,
fired.
Owasso. This is the Twins with Owasso Live, and this is the Morning Loop. And dang, the Marine rapper, he is doing some work out there as far as making some hit singles for political discourse out there. We haven't heard stuff this good since Loza Ball making the F. Joe Biden song.
Yeah,
So,
that's true. That's a good one.
with that being said, traffic conditions going into Tulsa are pretty thick right now. So if you have not left yet, you might consider going 75 or maybe going on Mingo might be a better option for you if you are heading in. So it's going to be a little warm today. It is currently 62 degrees outside. It's going to be 88 degrees, but it said it's supposed to be 88 degrees or like in the 80s all this weekend too, but it got up in like the 90s this weekend. So it might get up in the 90s again, so don't trust what you hear. So with that being said, let's push on into the subjects of the day. And the subjects of today are, what is the subject of today? We kind of have a miscellaneous assortment of topics, Chad. So
we do. That's what I have as the thumbnail right now. Said with inflation hits Hooters or hits the tits.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I didn't see that one this morning. That's good.
No, yeah, I said, but I mean, there's a bunch of Hooters and other franchise restaurants that we all know and love, like Red Lobster. I think some of the Olive Gardens, but they're all starting to shut down.
Yeah, they're going bankrupt. Yeah.
Because of inflation's hitting them, and like everyone's like the meme that I'm seeing constantly online right now is people saying, how is it that we're not making any more money, but companies are making record profits? I'm like, because you don't understand how inflation works. The more money they're spending more money on things because it's costing more to bring in the foods, goods, and all that other stuff. If energy goes up, the price of everything goes up.
If energy costs go down, the price of everything comes down.
Exactly, but that's what people don't understand. They're like, companies are making record profits. Yeah, but by a razor-thin margin. They're barely being able to survive themselves. There's a reason why all these Hooters are shutting down right now. It's because, like, okay, we have two choices. We either keep everybody where they're currently at on their paychecks and, our business revenue and purchase revenue, and we cut some of our other business locations to try to save money.
I had a friend that worked in California, and he was a server at a restaurant, and he actually was offered multiple times to become like a manager or somebody along, somebody in leadership, and he constantly turned them down because you make more money as a server than you do as management staff. Now that's crazy. Think about that. Like most people make more in tips than the managers do in their standard salary. And again, especially now that if Donald Trump and Kamala Harris pass this no tips on taxes thing, like people are gonna be making bank. These Hooter girls were probably pulling in more than all the managers combined. Like imagine being the manager of the restaurant, hiring these girls, being like, I got a shot with these chicks, but they pull in more money than you could ever dream of. Mm-hmm. So, you're just the bottom man on the totem pole. You're just the manager of the store. Like you're nothing. You're on minimum wage, and these girls are. They're not living well, but they're probably living better than him or her, absolutely. Whoever manages the restaurant. So. Yeah, interesting times we live in, and again, it's inflation hits the tits, man. It's
so we'll be seeing a lot of Hooters girls turning OnlyFans models, I believe, pretty quick.
Oh, they probably already are. Doing
guaranteed.
it on the sides, yeah.
But yeah, that's what I have as the main topic for today. We'll hit more on that, but since we're talking liar, pants on fire, the first video I'm going to queue up real quick will be the Kamala Harris lie counter. Someone actually went back and watched the debate and retroactively put like a Kamala Harris like fact check thing on there.
Yeah, so let's check out the fact checker on Kamala that the wonderful fact checkers at ABC wouldn't even do, because again, it would make her look bad. The whole purpose is to make Trump look bad, not and make Kamala look as good as possible. So this is the sad reality of our nation right now. Like I said, the media doesn't care about the truth. They just care about making sure their side wins.
Yep.
Ban, and there's no reason to sign a ban.
Understand, in his Project 2025, there would be a national abortion, a monitor.
What she says is an absolute lie.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born.
Nowhere in America is a woman carrying a pregnancy to term and asking for an abortion. He will sign a national abortion ban.
It's a lie. I'm not signing a ban, and there's no reason to sign a ban.
Understand, in his Project 2025, there would be a national abortion, a monitor.
What she says is an absolute lie.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born.
Nowhere in America is a woman carrying a pregnancy to term and asking for an abortion.
The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mothers.
Donald Trump, the candidate, has said in this election there will be a bloodbath if this and the outcome of this election is not to his liking.
It was a different term, and it was a term that related to energy. We're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line, and you're not going to be able to sell those cars if I get elected. Now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath.
Let's remember Charlottesville. There were fine people on each side.
Very fine people on both sides. And I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally.
Tim Walz and I are both gun owners. We're not taking anybody's guns away.
Let us finally pass an assault weapons ban and universal background checks and red flag laws.
He will sign a national abortion ban.
It's a lie. I'm not signing a ban, and there's no reason to sign a ban.
Understand, in his Project 20...
Yep. Yeah. Quite the lie count, if you're thinking about it, and the fact that there was no fact checks on her during that entire debate. And this guy, thankfully, went back and did that for us. So,
It's the same, but like I said, how many people are, again, you're only going to be fed this guy's stuff if you're on the right. You're not going to be fed this guy's stuff if you're on the left. Mm-hmm. The algorithms are going to keep us as separated as possible. They're going to make sure our worldviews are so totally warped and distorted that we cannot possibly come to agreements on anything. And you're already seeing that.
Oh, yeah. Just like this one right here, this meme right here. I can't afford to eat food. That's Russian disinformation, right? And that's a person wearing a Kamala Harris, Tim Walz hat.
What are you talking about? Inflation's not causing food to go up. It's the corporations, man. They're taking the food. Kamala Harris is going to make sure we all have bread lines to go to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that sounds like fun.
Yep. I mean, and like I told you, like people throwing that disinformation out online, just saying, companies are making record profits. How are they making record profits? And we're still, the same. It's because they're not making record profits. Inflation's hit them too. The price goes up and hits the consumer. It's also hitting the companies too. And the companies do everything they can not to raise the price because they know, working for an insurance company right now, we know that when the price goes up, what immediately is the first thing that happens? All of our customers calling, why is my policy going up? Why is my policy going up?
Yep, that's right. That's right.
You don't think that the companies don't know that that's immediately going to tick everybody off? They'd like to say stagnate it where it is or make it lower.
Yep. It's ridiculous, man. But again, this is what happens when people who don't understand business start criticizing business.
Mm-hmm. Then here's this is also interesting right here. This is
from that same vein of that video of that boy going, no, she's a liar.
Yep.
So yeah, check this one out.
Let me refresh it.
Hit that sound quick.
For us to have a black woman as president for the first time in history.
Yeah.
But my vote's kind of still on Trump. It'd be good for us to have a black woman as president.
This little girl, I love her. I love her, man.
Yeah. She's a hero. She's not the hero we need. She's the one we deserve right now.
But the scary part of this video that we're not actually showing here is the fact that these two kids were the outliers and what I consider the normal kids. The other kids that they brought in that had liberal parents, my liberal parents would never let me go over to a Trump supporter's house. And you're just Jesus, that's half the country at least.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's crazy because the propaganda and the indoctrination of people who think differently than you in the liberal mindset. It's yes, of course, you could never be friends with. We'll never let you go over to one of your friends' house that's a Trump supporter. In fact, we won't allow you to be friends with a kid that's parents are a Trump supporter because they're just hateful bigots and they're going to come and get you. And then who knows what will happen? You could be indoctrinated into what some would consider a normal lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Sad, man. But
exactly.
I mean, it's just, again, the left. We think the left is dumb. The right. We think the left is dumb. The left knows, they know. They don't believe in God, but they have been gifted the knowledge from God that they don't believe in, that we on the right are evil.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is what happens when you have a godless cult of a party. If people stand against your worldview or what ideas you think are going to bring about your utopia, they are evil.
Yes.
If you don't have a God in place, again, you will fill that God gap with something, and that God gap is your political ideology.
Which also explains why that there's so many Democrats out there that they've polled. They go, there was a poll that came out that said that would the world be better off with Donald Trump, and the poll that came out said 30% of Democrats responded yes, the world would be a better place. And you ask why people think it's okay to assassinate people. It's people can reason their way into anything without God. You can reason into anything.
Yeah, I mean, there is no thought process that you cannot go through that would not make something justifiable. Look, I'm a lady. I'm not going to. I don't want to sacrifice my life. I don't want to be a selfless mom. I don't want to sacrifice my life for a kid. I choose to have my kids sacrifice their life for me. That's the abortion argument. I mean, it's the same thing as don't covet anything as my neighbors. It's look, my neighbor's got a really big house. He's got a really hot wife. What does he need that stuff for? He's already lived the dream. He's already lived it. I need it more than him. I haven't had mine yet. So he's got to go.
Then speaking of that, so Democrats being okay with killing Donald Trump, you sent me this. And
yes.
This Babylon Bee absolutely crushed it.
The Babylon Bee, so good.
And if you can't see it, it says Democrats summon best bounty hunters in the galaxy to hunt down Donald Trump.
There's Dengar and Boba
got
Fett,
all the
Boss.
bounty hunters from Empire Strikes Back.
Mm-hmm.
Boba Fett, Bosch, Dengar, IG-88, I forget what these two guys' names are, but it's hilarious.
Lobot. No, not a Lobot. No, my bad. But yeah, no, that's good. Babylon Bee is they just are the best. They get culture, they understand it, and they're just on top. They're on top of their game, man.
Mm-hmm. And then, like, I found this one. I said we already talked about this in one of our previous episodes about Tim Walz scandal about the migrants saying that they were feeding hungry children.
Yes, again, if you trust Tim Walz to be in charge of our taxes and be in charge of the country, he can't even be in charge of his own budget with his own state. Like, they lost millions to some fake Somalian refugees that were started up a Feed the Hungry, but they just ended up lining their pockets and buying limos and mansions.
Not just the hungry children.
Yeah.
And here it is right here. We'll play this again so that way we can recap what exactly his administration allowed. And not to mention, we're also talking about the worst BLM riots of all time with the Rittenhouse one and Kenosha and all the other ones. I mean, it's ridiculous. But here we go. Here's what happened under Tim Walz's administration. Or not.
$150 million fraud scheme. The group Feeding Our Future was found guilty of laundering money meant to feed starving children during the pandemic. 5 of the defendants were found guilty. But that fraud scheme was taking place using Minnesota taxpayer dollars. And the whole point of the government is to allocate funds and then oversee that those funds are being used properly. Tim Walz couldn't even take care of taxpayer money on a small scale. Why are we trusting him to do it on a national scale? We probably can't. That's why his own family is even voting
Donald Trump.
Tim Walz is being investigated for a...
There you go. So, again, we talked about this a while back whenever it first came out. And, again, the media cycle happens so fast that people just forget. So we like to have these little refresher videos come up when I happen to see them on my Instagram feed. But, again, this is what happens when you have DEI policies in place. This is what happens when it's like, oh, we have a cool Somalian startup. We have a cool, like, charity startup company that's going to feed children started by Somali immigrants. This is going to look great on paper. This is going to look great. Like, look, see, Somali immigration's a net benefit on our society. It's like, nope, and we're not going to investigate them. We're not going to track the funds until 2 or 3 years later. And all of a sudden, it's like, wait a minute, all these Somalis that were basically living in the slums now have luxury cars. They're living in a mansion. Where'd all the funds go to feed these kids? And I think what they said, they ended up feeding like 10 or 12 kids or something like that, and those kids probably were their own children.
The numbers of kids that they actually fed was like minute. Like, it was probably within the 10 to 100 areas. It was barely anything.
Yeah, and they got like $250,000 a month to do this.
There's evidence that they literally just went to a name generator website and just had
a list of names. They had a computer AI generate a list of names of kids, and they just would submit that to Tim Walz's administration. They'd be like, here's all the kids we fed this month. Yep. No addresses, no associations, no affiliations with schools, social security numbers, nothing. Mm-hmm. Just, hey, here's a list of kids that we fed.
Yep. Then
took millions from the taxpayers in that state.
Yep. Now, moving on to other things like regarding lies, here is Elon Musk posted this. They are importing voters. It's obvious. Los Angeles Times. With the election looming, the U.S. is approving citizenship applications at the fastest speed in years. Mm-hmm. Why would they be doing this?
Yeah, I mean, it's true. They're importing their next voter base. And even if you don't think that these people, like, again, because I've had conversations with people in this very office where they go, they don't allow illegal immigrants to vote. Well, guess what? Even if that's like, I mean, because sanctuary states are trying to get these people to vote. But even if that's the case, that number of voters, so the illegal immigrant population that comes in, are counted to the census numbers. And guess what? State congressional seats are divvied out by total population, not voter population. So they're getting additional seats in the House of Congress based off of illegal immigrant populations. If you think that's fair and you're okay with that, you are part of the problem. Mm-hmm. And again, I don't buy the fact that they probably won't be having illegal immigrants. I mean, 400,000 new voters signed up in 2 days in Texas back in March. That's unheard of. And they're like, oh, they were just cleaning the rolls. It's like, no, they weren't. Like they interviewed people who work in that office, and they go, "Yeah, that's not how voter rolls are cleaned. What just happened here? So we don't know what's going on."
Yep. It's them adding illegals they're registering, as we saw from that Roseanne Barr video, and James O'Keefe and that other and all these other ones.
They're given their driver's license and they're given a voter registration
immediately. They're given driver's license, Social Security, and immediately registered to vote right after that. So the Democrats are up to some pretty shady stuff. And then here's this next one you sent me here.
Yeah, Greg Gutfeld.
Yeah, Greg Gutfeld on
the 5.
Yeah, let me restart it and I'll play it through real quick.
Real world, she would be toast. And I don't like getting riled up for no reason because this story is so unbelievable. I wanted to see if it was reported elsewhere. You know, it couldn't find it on MSNBC, CNN, Drudge. You have the release of hundreds of thousands of foreign criminals, like they emptied the jails, raped thousands of rapists, thousands of murderers. And on the pages of all of these networks, the death of Maggie Smith, which is sad, great actress, Lana Del Rey's marriage, P. Diddy rumors, but nothing about what is easily one of the most big, probably the biggest crime story I've ever seen. So we know that Democrats watch this show. Some of them hate watching. But if you're watching this, the media doesn't want you to know this information. They don't want it to reach you. They would rather you die or be raped than Trump be right or find out the truth. So you can hate Fox all you want. You can hate Trump all you want. You can hate me. But you can't hate yourself and your family so much that you're going to ignore a story that puts them in danger. Now, even if these numbers are off by 50%, please, I think that the fact checkers should fact check it. You know, tell us, no, it's not 16,000 rapists. It's only 8,000. It's only 7,000 murders. Cool. I'm glad you're okay with that. I'll take your fact check. But anybody who defends this or says it's not that big a deal is complicit, and they should be held accountable. Every victim of every crime by the people that are in here that we haven't vilified, who are actual villains, you need to file a class action suit against this government. You know, these bastards were more offended by stories of cats being eaten than real stories reported here of actual rape and murder. And if you ask why those other stories existed, it was the only way to get these a-holes in the media to even look at this story. They can only see immigration as a gotcha moment for political gain. There are actual people that are dying. This is a huge story. Where is it? In the real world, she would be toast. And I don't like getting riled up for no reason.
And it's restarted now, so yeah.
But yeah, I mean, well said, Gutfeld, but that's what we've been saying the whole time. If you are for open borders, you are complicit in allowing a criminal element coming here that is going to murder, rape, and steal, and not just those things. Have a permanent group of leeches on our economy. Again, everyone always goes, immigrants are a net benefit on the economy. Maybe 20% of immigrants are a net benefit, and that's being generous. 80 to 90% of immigrants will never, ever pay a dime into the tax system. Ever.
Mm-hmm.
They will be permanent leeches on our society.
Yep.
So if you think that's harsh and you think that's cruel of me to say, it's the truth.
Yep. And the other thing too is like they're not integrating properly either. It's like they don't understand our cultural values and cultural norms. Like
again,
that's why this whole eating the dogs and cats thing is blowing up, because that is not normal for anyone in the United States to go to a pond, a public pond, grab a duck off of it or grab a stray cat, just grab it and then cook it and eat it.
And you know what else is not normal in their societies? Having the right to have free speech.
Yep.
You know what else isn't normal in their societies? Having the right to bear arms.
Mm-hmm.
If they had the right to bear arms, none of the Haitians would be here right now, because all of them would be able to fight back against the tyranny that's happening in their country.
Yeah, the civil war or civil unrest, if the media is not classifying it as a civil war in Haiti right now, that is happening. Like, I mean, I just went back. The barbecue episode that I talk about, the Haitian gang leader cannibal guy that's taken over, it was only like a few episodes back. I can go find it pretty easily.
Yeah, it was back in March whenever you were talking about it, because I remember I was on the cruise.
Yep.
Kind of near that area.
Yeah. But yeah. And then here, people getting all the voting, all this random people getting registered to vote that aren't citizens or just became citizens, which is unheard of.
Yeah.
Unheard of. But we can just have it on a couple more things. That's that James O'Keefe thing where they're showing that. But this, I think, right here is a little bit more important.
Yeah.
Is this lady talking about teachers' unions and how the Pennsylvania teachers' union won't allow you to join it unless you're a registered Democrat. Now, this is just from a lady on Twitter. And who knows how true this really is, but I wouldn't put it past this because they've done polls before that have shown 98% of teachers, and I don't mean just teachers, I'm talking from college to kindergarten, are Democrat.
Yeah, well,
98%.
Let's take a real quick look at this. It's like the what was it? What was that that union thing that came out? Like Teamsters. The actual bosses the union bosses who run the actual union itself are for Kamala. 60 to 70% of the working men are for Trump, and they said, well, we're not going to take sides. But then the guys who run it actually took sides and chose Kamala. The guys at the top. They're not representing the working man of their union.
Yep.
They said, well, the other, again, it's like the other 30% of our guys who voted for Kamala, they have a voice too, and their voice matters. And you have the other 60% being like, are you effing kidding me?
Yeah, that's what we talked about before when we talked about unions. Because if you vote for one thing, but your union is advocating for somebody else, how is that beneficial to you to be a part of a union?
Yeah.
It's not.
It's ridiculous.
But anyway, we'll watch this real quick, and you can see what this lady has to say about the Pennsylvania Teachers Union.
My gas stids are flabbered. I was just talking to someone whose sister is a teacher in Pennsylvania, like a couple hours away from me. And she responded to an Instagram story of mine and told me that her sister has to be registered as a Democrat to be a part of the teachers union. What? So there are thousands of registered Democrats in Pennsylvania because they're basically forced to be that vote Republican every year. The PSEA is funded by Democrats and the school board as well. So to secure the union benefits, they register themselves as Democrats. This might not be new news to you, but it's new news to me, and that's wild. This is also why I don't believe the polls, because a lot of people are registered as one party and then vote for another party. So it's very hard to know if the polls are right or not. We ain't going to know nothing until November 5th.
She's not wrong.
No, not at all.
Not wrong, but if that is true, that you have to be registered as a Democrat to be part of the union,
that's basically communism. That's like what my girlfriend says about like whenever she was in Vietnam. It's like all of her friends that want to have political careers or want to work their way up any chain, and any chain of command in Vietnam, they go, you either join the party or your career stalls. I mean, again, that's communism right there. That is the Democratic Party is basically communism. At least the teachers' unions. There, I mean, that's a communist dictatorship right there. Yep. Join the party or piss off.
Yep. And if we want to end on this one right here, this is kind of a recap of them saying that the eating the cats and dogs is a lie.
Yeah, let's go for it.
And then we'll stop it off with this because we're already running behind. We got to get to work.
Yep.
For pet owners in the Springfield neighborhood after really a disturbing incident caught on camera. The owner of this cat tells News4Jax Ashy was attacked and killed on her front steps and then taken Saturday night. This happened on Red Wing Street near Maine. This comes as Springfield neighbors say several cats have gone missing recently.
Multiple incidents of in and outdoor cats coming up missing have one thing in common. They're disappearing overnight.
Once he put his hand up, he just grabbed it, quickly took it down, walked it over here, and just kneeled on top of it.
Spencer says that's when he took out his cell phone and started recording video of the man attacking the cat.
Bound the cat some kind of way and put it in a plastic tarp and walked.
Crime alert for pet owners in the Springfield neighborhood.
Huh. Well, I mean, again, the media And people are just going, that's not happening. They're not actually eating cats and dogs. Like, okay, who are you going to believe? The people who are there in the environment who watch it happen? Or are you going to believe someone who's not physically present, doesn't actually live there? You know, it's like, I'm going to take the people's word for it that live in the community because, one, if they haven't lied before, and why would they have a reason to start lying to me now? I mean, obviously they have a vested interest in not having the Haitians there because they're reaping tax benefits from their community. But the other thing, too, is why would you lie about something that ridiculous?
Yeah. It's the same thing and can happen in the military with trusting infantrymen or whatever out in the field. Like, sir, it's like, sir, like the officers being like, it's not too bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, we don't take contact here every day. And then you go talk to the grunt on the ground and it's like, sir, we at least like take contact like every night.
Mm-hmm.
At least see something, or we see somebody spying on us or whatever. It's like, and they go, nope, we're clear. We're all clear.
Again, and it's like, the officers in the chain of command, we don't want people knowing how bad it really is out here, whereas the enlisted guys and the grunts will be like, no, it effing sucks. I don't want to be out here anymore. Yep. Like, they'll give it to you straight, is where, the chain of command is like, we got to keep up morale, and then we also don't want the world to know, like, that we really don't have as much control over this area as, the military would allow you to believe we do.
But yeah, that's what it is. Like, trust the people who are there over somebody who's like, I called the government official. Everything's okay.
Again, and like I said, the Democrats benefit from it not being true. Because why? It's like, well, because all cultures are equal. All these people that we're getting in are a net benefit on our economy. All these people we're bringing in are just reputable, moral people that are going to live perfectly wonderful lives, and they're going to be perfectly good taxpayers one day. It's like, they have to believe that. That is they've bought into that ideology. As where the people that live on the ground go, this sucks. My dogs are going missing. My cats are going missing. These people come in, they're wrecking into cars. They're killing aunts and family members. They're killing people in our population because they don't know how to drive. And they're coming in and they're buying brand new clothes. We're struggling. I got 2 jobs. They have the magic money cards, and they never run out of cash. It's like, why wouldn't you be upset?
And all taxpayer funded.
And again, they're like, feel bad for the people that have come here from a war-torn country. It's like, they should have stayed there and done something about their war-torn country. I have more pity and sympathy for my fellow countrymen that are struggling to put food on their table every day, and now their taxpayer funds are going to give these people their magic money cards so they can buy cars, buy top designer clothes, and then wreck into people and kill our own citizens, fellow countrymen.
And getting back to what you said about them staying there to fix their countries, like, yeah, at some point you have to take responsibility for what's going on in your own nation. We can't just be like, oh, we'll take all your poor, all your sick. I mean, it had to be back before we had welfare programs. Like, it was people who were like, you came here. And then that was the other thing that they don't talk about is like, everyone always acts like every immigrant that came here stayed here. It's like, no, there were immigrants that came here before welfare. There's like, saw how hard it was, left, went back to their homeland.
Yeah. Again, like, not everyone thinks this was the American dream. Like, they were like, dude, this American dream is actually hard work. We got to roll up our sleeves and do. I was told it was going to be the dream, a promised land. It's a promised land if you're willing to do the work. So it's just a sad state of affairs that's what people believe. That's what people are doing. They're coming here and they're taking advantage of the welfare systems, the robust welfare systems that we have, and the people here can't even take advantage of them because they're cutting programs to our own homeless, our own needy. And again, I'm not a big fan of charity programs done by the government. I don't want the government to do charity programs for the homeless and stuff. I want the church to do that.
Yeah, church and just local organizations.
Yeah.
Like, people in the community should be doing
not
this stuff.
Non-government, not NGOs or non-government organizations that are funded solely by the government. I want people who are able to. I want NGOs that are able to raise their own money and their own charity to take care of this stuff. Not NGOs funded directly by the government. The government should be out of the business of charity. Period.
Yep. The government is not a charity or a place to get a help out. It is a place to enforce laws and to protect its citizens.
Yep.
Period.
Anywho, that's about all we've got for you today. We're just want to keep you all well informed and let you know what's going on in the world. So that's all we got. This is the Twins with Owasso Live. This was the Morning Loop. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. We are signing off. God bless you.
See you later, everybody.
All right.